Good evening, folks. Your town council would like to welcome you to the regular town council meeting of Tuesday, October 20th, 2020. We would ask you all rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you call the roll, please?
Town Manager Mead.
I'm here.
Councillor O'Neill.
Here.
Councillor Tusignet.
Here.
Councillor Kelly.
Here.
Councillor Blow.
Here. Thank you. We'll begin our meeting this evening, folks, with a presentation from the main legislative sentiment to V. Louise Reed, the Assistant Town Manager, in recognition of public service and retirement. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, and good evening to all the town councilors. Thank you so much for carving out some time in your busy schedules for the presentation this evening. So first on the docket, we have a couple presentations. Ooh, perfect, thanks. So I'm Senator Justin Schnitt. I represent Old Orchard Beach in the Senate, and I'm alongside Representative Laurie Gramlick, the better half of the Old Orchard Beach delegation. So I just wanted to first talk a little bit about Louise Reed. We have a legislative sentiment for Louise. Hi, Louise. So I think everyone echoes these sentiments that basically if you want anything done in Old Orchard Beach, you got to call Louise. She has to be on your top of your list. I think she's involved in just about every single project that you can possibly think of in Old Orchard, which we're really extremely thankful for her, all her service and her passion. I mean, she really embodies the true spirit of our community here in Old Orchard Beach and true public service. And I know she inspires me every single day. And so we have a sentiment for you. I know you'll still be busy, Louise. Don't worry. I think this is just transitioning into another role or many roles that she still has, but I know we're very thankful for her many years of service. And so the entire legislature agrees, Louise. And so we have, be it known to all, that we, the members of the Senate and the House of Representatives, join in recognizing Louise Reed of Old Orchard Beach on her retirement after 17 years of service as the Assistant Town Manager of Old Orchard Beach, and for her many years of service with the Salvation Army and various organizations in the community. We extend our appreciation and best wishes, and be it ordered that this official expression of sentiment be sent forthwith on behalf of the entire 128th Legislature and the people of the state of Maine, signed by the Senate President and the Speaker of the House. Let's hear it for Louise, everybody! I want to give everybody a hug, and it's a problem. So can we keep going, Mr.
Please
Chairman?
do, yes.
Okay, thank you so much. And so next on the docket, I know Kim's around here somewhere. She might be in the booth. She does so many things for our community. It's great.
She's the woman behind the curtain for sure.
Absolutely, it's like the Wizard of Oz. So I want to recognize our wonderful town clerk here in Old Orchard Beach. Kim, over the years, has been such a steward of our democracy and our elections, increasing voter participation every step of the way. I know anytime I have a question about Old Orchard Beach elections, Kim is the first person I talk to, always welcoming at the clerk's office. Her whole team really is, and she leads a wonderful effort there, and so we're very thankful to have her, especially in these crazy times. And so I know Kim's, oh, there's Kim right there. Yeah, come on down, Kim. Absolutely. You're the star of the show here. Okay. So we just wanted to recognize you. Obviously, you've been recognized statewide for your efforts, and so the entire legislature wanted to recognize Kim McLaughlin of Old Orchard Beach, clerk of the town of Old Orchard Beach, who has received the 2020 President's Award from the Maine Town and City Clerks Association. We extend our congratulations and best wishes on behalf of the entire legislature. Go Kim!
So I am Representative Laurie Gramlick, and with your indulgence, Mr. Chair, I have one final sentiment that I would like to present. And this is for our esteemed town manager, Mr. Laurie Mead. I know Larry came to you all in a time of great transition and has really done a fantastic job leading the town through some maybe turbulent times and got us to a really good space, and he is retiring. coming up. And so this is a legislative sentiment for Larry of Old Orchard Beach on receiving the 2020 Distinguished Service Award from the Maine Town, City, and County Management Association, and on his retirement as town manager of Old Orchard Beach after 41 years of service in municipal government. Mr. Mead started with the City of Portland in 1979. He held a variety of positions there, beginning with Portland's Health and Human Services Department and ending as Assistant City Manager. In 2006, he became town manager for Kennebunkport, and in 2013 for Old Orchard Beach. We extend our congratulations and best wishes, and be it ordered that this official expression of sentiment be sent forthwith on behalf of the 129th Legislature and the people of the state of Maine. Thank you, Larry. I will just say on a side note, I had the good fortune of actually meeting Larry. Neither one of us are really old enough for this to have occurred, but met Larry probably about 20 years ago when I was doing advocacy work up in Augusta, and Larry was working for the city of Portland. So congratulations, and thank you all for your indulgence, and thank you for the hard work you're all doing. Thank you very much.
And thank you both as well. Nice to see you both. Thank you both for being here. Well done. And next on our agenda, we have a proclamation, and I'll read as follows. Town of Old Orchard Beach Proclamation. Whereas Idris A. Wing was born on October 18th, 1920 in Island Falls, Maine. Whereas married on December 10th, 1941 for 61 years to Herschel E. Bates prior to his passing on June 4th, 2003. Whereas they moved from Biddeford to Ocean Park in 1944 to 12 Lawn Avenue in 1947 and raised one son, Erwin E. Bates, now cherishes 2 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. Idris is the eldest of 3 sisters and 2 brothers who have since passed away. Whereas Idris is a member of the Blue Point Congregational Church, Order of Eastern Star, Wing Family of America, one of the founding members of Old Orchard Beach Friends of the Library, retired after many years of volunteering at the voting polls, enjoys playing bridge, cribbage, listening to recorded books from the library, and doing some handiwork such as knitting. Now, therefore, we, the Town Council of Old Orchard Beach, Maine, do hereby extend happy birthday wishes to Idris Bates on her 100th birthday. May the wisdom of her experiences bring joy and enlightenment to all who celebrate with her. Idris, congratulations and happy birthday. Thank you as well, folks. Nice to see you both. Thank you. Good night. To the Acknowledgements Council. Are there any acknowledgements this evening? Having none, to Good and Welfare. Members of the public wishing to speak under Good and Welfare. You may welcome. You may remove your mask so we can hear you and we can hear you.
Nancy Frisco for Graham.
Thank you, Nancy.
I'd like to know if you're working on anything that I brought up last meeting, and I'd also like to know why the horses on the beach don't wear a bucket. I've been saying that for the last 5 years. They just put a bucket on the back of them, and then it isn't all over the ground with the dogs rolling in it.
Okay, good to know. We didn't know that, so that's new. So we'll address that as well.
Yeah.
There have been conversations.
There's no problem with the horses being on the beach, but if they have that bucket on the back of them.
Exactly. They should be cleaning up. That's one of the stipulations that they're allowed on the beach with. So that's a must-have for them as well. So we'll address that.
And I talked about putting light posts on the front and the end of the all the public entrances with solar light on the top of them.
Yep.
With the street names.
Yep.
So everybody knows. So when you call the police or the fire or anybody else, you could identify where you are.
Right. So that will be something that will probably be discussed during our budget cycle. coming up in the spring, so we will hopefully have that implemented by the summer of next year, and council agrees that it's a great idea, that the street signs on the beach and at the entrance to the beach is very important. So we agree with that, and we're working on that.
And the fellow that fixed the sidewalks, like last year, he no longer works for Old Orchard. I don't know if it was his choice or what happened, but he's one of the people I would recommend if he would want the job, I don't know. Because he fixed the walkways, perfect. And the walkways need to be cleaned at least twice a year. At least, I know a lot of sand comes up, but I mean, I'm 73. I tried to clean it with a shovel, with a broom, and they were just down there and they repaired it and did a great job. And whoever went down to repair it cleaned the whole thing again.
Okay.
And it's such a pleasure because it goes really far out. And the other thing that I brought up for many, many years is I feel that all the public walkways should be disability. I know some of them can't because there's stairs and there's like a thing, but all the rest should be wide enough for wheelchairs and, you know, that special wheelchair that you have here, and people with the double carriages, because everybody has all these kids now, and they're not.
Right.
They're not wide enough.
Right. Okay.
They need to be fixed.
Okay.
Because just coming in from town is not good enough. Otherwise, why do we have the other public walkways?
Right.
So, if you would address those things, I would appreciate it.
Okay, we certainly will. Thank you for that.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, those items would be a budget issue.
Correct.
And we could make sure we bring that up.
Talk about it then. Yeah.
Have Public Works maybe give us a quote or an estimate on widening the boardwalks to get down to the beach.
Along with the signs and as a
Along with the signage
because
and
that's what we
lighting,
do. Yeah.
Keep them clean.
Yeah.
The beginning of July and the beginning of August, they should be clean.
Yeah.
Because from the storm, sand's like, you can't even like get back and forth on.
Right.
And the wood goes all the way out. It's gonna rot the wood if it's just laying on all summer.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Any other comments on the good and welfare? Having none, to the acceptance of minutes. To accept the meeting minutes of the Town Council meeting and Town Council workshop on Tuesday, October 6, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Council. Motion has been made in second. There's no further discussion. And none opposed, motion will carry 4-0. Public hearings. Public hearing number 1. Do we have folks coming up for that? Okay. Just bear with us for a few moments, folks. We have some folks outside as we try to struggle and handle our COVID restrictions. So we'll allow those folks time to enter into the room.
Through the chair.
Yes.
So I just would request that at the beginning of the public hearing, the Captain Hemingway gets a chance to explain what the intent is.
Absolutely. It may quell a lot of concerns. Good evening, folks, and welcome. We appreciate your efforts in helping us maintain our COVID limitations and restrictions with the wearing of the masks. We did wait to open the public hearing for you folks to enter the room. So, as I indicated, the first public hearing is the Odina Avenue Parking Ordinance. Shall the Town Council of the Town of Old Orchard Beach amend the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 54, Traffic and Vehicles, amending Section 54187, Odina Avenue, changing parking prohibition from the left-hand side to the right-hand side on the section from Seaside Avenue to the seawall by adopting the underscored language and deleting the strike-through language as follows. And I will read what shall be adopted and not the strike-throughs. There's only one strike-through, it's the word "the." So Odina Avenue, no parking shall be allowed on the left-hand side of Odina Avenue facing the ocean from the railroad to Seaside Avenue. No parking shall be allowed on the right-hand side of Odina Avenue facing the ocean from Seaside Avenue to the seawall. so we'll be opening the public hearing at 6:47. And I would ask that Captain Hemingway from the Police Department introduce this to council and to you folks as well, so we all have a better understanding as to what we're trying to accomplish and the reasons why. Good evening and welcome, sir.
Good evening, Captain Hemingway, the Police Department. This came to our Police Department, our police chief, as a request by the residents that live on Odina from Odina to the seawall area. They had requested a parking change in that area as vehicles that are currently parking on the right-hand side facing the seawall are reportedly parking close to their residence, kind of prohibiting them from going in through their gated areas or their backyards or the side yards at times. There are currently 4 properties on that side of the street, and there is a condo and another property on the other side of the street where parking is currently prohibited. So we've looked into this and spoken to the residents in that area, as well as representatives from the condo association, and all of the residents that have been spoken to, pretty much the whole street, have advised that they are in favor of the parking change to the right side, restricting the right side opposed to the left side. This essentially would take what is now 5 parking spots that are available on the right side, and changing it to the left side would bring that 5 spots to 3 spots if changed. That's the only available parking down there as it is right now with the current ordinance in effect. The condo association, they have a large parking lot there for their own parking. The other building on that side of the street where parking would be allowed it appears to be largely unaffected, as it's close to the corner where parking is already restricted. So there's only 1 spot nearby that residence that would be available. And the other side of the street would be restricted. It doesn't appear to give any public safety concern for emergency vehicles. There would be no change with that. The area would remain the same. It's just a simple change from one side to the other side of the street.
Very good. Thank you, sir. So folks, those who are wishing to speak, we would ask that you come to the podium. You may remove your mask, so for clarity reasons we can understand you. And if you would just state your name for the record as you begin, that would be great. Good evening and welcome, sir. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Good evening, my name is Jason Field. I live, my residence in Old Orchard Beach is 5 Odina Avenue. I'm the person that has brought this request to the town hall here, and I just wanted to share with you the primary reasons why we have brought this request to yourselves tonight. Just over 10 years ago, the property that was at 5 Odina Avenue was a beaten down little cottage, and my wife and I invested a large amount of money. We renovated the entire property, the house, the structure itself, as well as the garden, the yard space. We built a nice white picket fence along the front there, and we feel that ever since about, I think it was 2 years ago, when the no parking sign was moved from one side of the street to the other, we feel really hard come by, inconvenienced, as cars are parking right against the fence, inconvenienced whereby we feel that we're concerned about the fence being damaged. We have seen some minor damages already to the fence. There's increased trash that we find we're having to pick up from the vehicles that are parking there. I cannot, at any given time on a Saturday or a Sunday, cut the grass. There's a strip of grass in front of that fence line because there are vehicles parked in front. So I mean, we're inconvenienced in that respect. But mostly we have 2 gates on either side of the yard, and oftentimes throughout the summer cars are parking right in front of the gate so that we cannot use the gate to access the beach. That's a huge inconvenience for us, for my children. We shouldn't have to go around, find another egress from another exit from our house in order to access the road that leads out to the beach. We have put signs on our gate requesting that people do not park in front of the gates, but our requests just seem to fall on deaf ears, and it's a regular occurrence. On top of that, we oftentimes are sitting out in the yard and we see vehicles drive up fast, driving straight into parking spaces, and it stresses us out as we're watching vehicles reversing into one of those spaces. We're concerned that every time that our fence is going to be damaged. I brought this conversation up with my neighbors on my side of the street, and they were all in favor. They were very supportive, and they agreed that the no parking should be switched to the other side of the street. In speaking to the one property owner that has the house on the corner that the officer was just referring to, when I asked them if they had any opposition to our request, they said no, absolutely not. I brought it up to some of the individuals that live in the condominium, and they were also supportive. They said, yeah, we realized a couple of years ago, for a number of years, the no parking sign was on the other side of the street. We have no problem with it coming back. So that's why I'm here, and I'm hoping that you will see our grievance and hopefully approve our request. Thank you very much.
Thank you as well. Thanks for coming out tonight. Any other comments, folks? Good evening and welcome, sir.
Good evening, thank you. My name is Paula Burke. Hi, Ken.
How you doing?
How are you? I've been a summer resident here for a number of years, and I'm here with a bunch of people who are year-round residents as well as summer residents. We have been utilizing the beach on Odina Street for 50-plus years. Up until 3 years ago, parking was allowed on the other side of the street. For some strange reason, one day, Public Works came and striped the right-hand side of the street, or the left-hand side of the street, I should say, as you're facing the beach. And all of a sudden, parking wasn't allowed. So I met with Kim McLaughlin, the town clerk. I met with Joe Lavasser, the parking manager here in Old Orchard, and he agreed that parking should be allowed on one side of the street. And I said, why don't you just restore it on the left-hand side? So lo and behold, fast forward a few months, all of a sudden signs went up on the right-hand side of the street. Parking was always allowed on the left-hand side of the street, and all of a sudden it was changed for some reason. I'm not sure who initiated that change, but the ordinance was changed to the right-hand side. So it's always been allowed for as long as I've been on the beach, which is a long time. It was always on the left-hand side. And so I'm glad that they're going to restore it back to the left-hand side, But the key issue here is there was 7 parking spaces on that side of the street. And all of a sudden, they started striping certain areas. And so there's not 7 anymore. I understand from the police department that there's only 3. I'm not sure how they got down to 3. There was 7. There was actually more parking spaces on that side than on the right-hand side. There was only 5 or 6. So we never had a problem with parking on either side, but it makes more sense to go back to the left-hand side of the street. But like I said, there was more parking available on that side of the street to begin with. There are no houses on that side of the street. There's a side of the condo building. The condo is a 7-story, 28-unit building. The parking lot has 36 to 40 parking spaces. As a matter of fact, there were people this past summer that were parking on the street on the right-hand side in front of this gentleman's house that live in the condo. Right now, there's 2 vehicles there, and they're commercial vehicles. I mean, they're the pickup truck from a company. So these, I was told, are people who live in the condo. Why are they parking on the street? I mean, I don't have a problem with anybody parking anywhere, but, you know, I did analysis back 3 years ago when they eliminated parking on both sides. I went from Union all the way out to Ocean Park. There's 12 streets there. They all allowed parking on one or both sides. So when they eliminated parking on both sides, I said, wait a minute now. There's plenty of room. It's 27 feet wide to have one side of parking. But for some strange reason, they put it on the right-hand side. All we want is parking somewheres. Left-hand side, like it used to be, that's fine. I don't think there's an issue there. There are, like I said, there's no front yards. There's a parking lot, the side of the condo building, which is a high-rise, and then a house on the corner, and that's it. There are no other houses. On the right-hand side, there are 4 properties that have frontage there on the street, so it made more sense to be on the left. So bring it back to what it was, initiate the same number of parking spaces, and I think we all go home happy.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you as well, sir.
Yep.
Good to see you. Good evening and welcome.
Hi, Dan Cole. I think the biggest problem that we have is that the parking spaces have been eroded over the last 10 years. I mean, we can't park on Seaside anymore. What's the next thing? So it's not really just looking at these parking places here. I mean, we're all local people that pay taxes and things. But to go to the beach, we don't want to come downtown and park in the parking lots. That's a family area down there. You know, I have a good relationship with Jason. We talk to his kids every day. We talk to him, but the problem for access to the beach, we don't want it to be like Wells or Gunkwit or any of those places where that's all you ever heard, that you couldn't get to the beach. So, I mean, losing Seaside was a big deal for us for parking. I mean, my father's 91, he drives down there, which is another story in itself, but he drives down, parks, gets out and walks to the beach. So I think that's the big question, that all of a sudden in the middle of the night, when it happened before, we lost all the parking places on the other side of the street. I don't want to see that to happen again, that the condo people all of a sudden say, well, we don't want that. We want to get rid of the parking on that side also. So I think it's something that long-term planning that we really should look at, parking for local people to be able to get to the beach, so we don't have to go down and sit downtown with all the people that come in for the day or so.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Additional comments, folks?
Through the chair.
Councilor Kelly.
Captain Hemingway, is there any reason why it went from 7 to 3? Or from 5 to 3, or whatever it went from?
Well, I don't have an exact number for you on that, but looking at the parking ordinance and looking at the street itself, you also have to consider the entrances to the condo parking lot, the corner. You can't park too close to the corner. And I went down there with the chief and we looked it over, and to safely park cars there, we came up with about 3 spots that would be on that side of the street.
So was the condo there when it was 7 spots?
That I couldn't go that far back for you,
Okay.
but I do know that, yeah, it's been there for a number of years, so I'm guessing if they're saying 7 spots, possibly. But you also have to consider if you're too close to the beach end as well, so you might lose a little on that end. So it's something that we can look closer at to see if we can expand on another spot or 2 down there, maybe another spot, but definitely probably
not more than that, I would say, so.
Through the chair. We could, staff could, between now and the next council meeting, which is when you'd actually be voting on this, we can take a look and see, we said the change was like 3 years ago or something? So we can go back and look at the minutes of the town council meetings when you would have made a vote at that point in time to change the parking. So we can go see what the discussion was at that point in time and kind of report back to you on that anyway.
Be a big help as well, for sure. Yep, excellent.
I'd be curious as to why it went from 7 to 3.
Yeah, we'll see if we
If
can
it's the
find it.
same building configuration that's down there now.
I think one of the biggest reasons is that from the beach wall to, what would you say, where the entrance is to the condominium, you've got a solid yellow line that has been inserted in the past couple of years. That yellow line has basically taken away 3 spots, 3 parking spots.
Plus under the tree,
Yeah, yeah.
She needs them to go.
Yeah. Okay, folks, just in fairness to the folks at home, those who are wishing to speak, just so we can all hear the conversation. Thank you, yeah. I would like to hear from all of you, but I just ask you to come up, that's all, for sure.
Thank you, Cap.
If there are no additional comments, folks, sir.
If I may add another comment, the reason I say 7 parking spaces, up until about 5 years ago, there were 7 parking spaces. And about 7 years ago, there was a triangular striped area part to the entrance. There's 2 entrances to the Golden Sands condo, one from Odina, one from Seacliff. And they striped that 1 year. And they haven't striped it in probably the last 3 to 5 years or so. The striping's gone away. It was never an issue because the town never came back and restriped it. So I assumed there was not a problem with access to the condominium project. It's a pretty wide entrance. And, you know, like I said, we had the 7 parking spaces that were from the seawall to the entrance to the parking lot. There were 5 spaces. There's a driveway there too. There was 3. The driveway, which is the side garage to the condo high-rise. There's 3 parking spaces, the driveway, and 2. Then the entrance to the parking lot. And after the lot, before the corner of Seaside and Odina, there were 2 more parking spaces. So clearly, comfortably, easily, there were 7 spaces, 3, 2, and 2. And it worked for years. Matter of fact, those spaces have been there since the high-rise was built in 1989. So it's been a long time, and parking was okay. And again, it's only July, August when you think about it. May, June, it's busy on weekends when it's nice. The locals come to the beach. Tourists haven't come yet. But really, when you're talking about it, it's weekends in July and August, and after that, everybody goes home. Go down today, there's all kinds of parking everywhere, right? Everybody's gone home. So, you know, over the years, 7 was still comfortable. People were never blocked off from their driveway. There was only 1 driveway, and it's to the high-rise condo. There's only 1 car that can park in that condo garage. The rest is basically the entrance to the lot. And like I said, there are no frontage. Nobody has a house there with a driveway, unlike the other side. So I always thought 7 was comfortable.
Okay, good deal. Thank you for
Thanks.
that. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts, folks? If there are no additional comments, we'll close the public hearing at 7:08. Thank you all for your input and for being here this evening, because it helps us get a better view and a better understanding as to what's going on. So thank you all for that. Thank you as well, Jason. To our public hearings for business licenses and approval this evening. Julie Ann Whitson, 313-2121, One Bay Avenue, number 21, 1 year-round rental. And Louise Haggett, 201-174B, 221 East Grand Avenue, unit number 4B, one seasonal rental. Open the public hearing at 7:09. Comments from members of the public?
The chair, motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made in second. If there are no further comments and none opposed, we'll close the public hearing at 7:09, and the motion will carry 4-0. Brings us to our town manager's report this evening. Mr.
Good
Mead.
evening. Thank you.
Thank you as well.
So we have been working for 5 of the 7 years that I've been here on flood maps with FEMA, the proposed changes to the flood maps and the flood elevations along our coastline. This past year, FEMA issued proposed maps. The town, through its consultant, and along with 8 other coastal communities in York and Cumberland County, objected to those new maps because of the methodology, because the methodology used by FEMA is outdated methodology. And there are much better scientific methods available to determine more accurately what flood elevations should be. And inexplicably, for whatever reason, FEMA is using outdated methodology only in York and Cumberland counties, the 2 most populous counties in the state. In the rest of the state, they're using the updated, more advanced technologies. And they're also using those more advanced technologies in other parts of the country. So we were not able to get a good explanation other than cost, I think, that they didn't want to redo what they'd already done. So we appealed that, and the appeal was denied, and then we went beyond that as a town and submitted an appeal to an independent panel of experts called the Scientific Review Panel. That panel is an advisory group that is part of the appeal process in the statute. And so we appeared a few months ago. Our consultant represented us in front of this panel and made our arguments as to why we thought the FEMA's approach was not accurate. Yesterday we received the decision of the Scientific Review Panel, and their decision, their finding was that yes, it is true that the town's data that we had submitted refuted the FEMA approach and corrected or negated FEMA's data, and that the method used by FEMA is not as accurate and up to date as what the town and our other coastal communities were submitting. The panel did not direct FEMA as to whether to reconsider its decision. Its opinion is advisory only. And so now what will happen is that it will go to the regional headquarters of FEMA, and it's up to the regional administrator to make the final decision. Honestly, my expectation is that the regional administrator will not change the mind of FEMA or not change the decision. And if that is the case, then what the town will do at that point is to submit to FEMA. The maps will go into effect, and at the same time we will file appeals called letters of map revision for the specific areas where we think that the problems are stemming from. And I'm semi-optimistic that if we do that, we will see some changes that come out of that in terms of the maps, but that will take a number of months. So stay tuned, and as soon as we get any information from FEMA, we'll let people know about it. We're all thinking about voting, and a lot of us are thinking about absentee voting. It's ongoing here at Town Hall during our regular business hours. Ballots can be returned in person at Town Hall up until Monday, November 2nd. And then on the election day, you can also deliver a ballot in person on election day at the polling place at Old Orchard Beach High School. You can also return an absentee ballot at the drop box located at Town Hall right through election day. So prior to it or on election day, you are able to return your ballot to the drop box right out at the entrance of Town Hall, up until 8 p.m., at which point in time on election day that box will be locked and no more ballots are accepted. And then in-person voting on Election Day is at the high school from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. We would ask people to be patient if you're voting in person, because we will be managing the entry of people into the high school in order to maintain social distancing, and in addition, masks will be required for that. Just for informational purposes, we have already received 3,700 requests for absentee ballots, and 2,800 of those have already been returned. So we've had a very, very large absentee ballot turnout. The infrastructure project on Washington Avenue, Fern, and West Old Orchard Avenue, the bids were received this past 2 weeks ago on that infrastructure project, and Chase Construction was the low bidder, and we will be bringing to council on the November 17th agenda a motion to contract with Chase for that work. They will begin the work in early spring, and it includes complete replacements of sewer, stormwater, sidewalks, curbing, and paving on Fern and West Old Orchard, and the section of Washington Avenue from Union Avenue to West Old Orchard. And then finally, paving work is going to continue until the weather changes on us. And Portland Avenue from Cascade to the Beechwoods condominium and Miles Avenue were both in the past week reclaimed, and a base application of pavement was applied. The finished paving in those two streets will take place in the spring. We're also going to be doing reclaim work on Miles, Atlantic, we've done the Miles, Atlantic Avenue from Washington Avenue to 3rd Street, and on Wilbur Street. And then there's a number of streets on our paving list, and we'll do as many of those as we can while the weather holds, and that includes portions of Seacliff, Ross Road, Reggio, Odessa, Park, Fern Park, Cookman, Aldine, Petoyne, Pavia, Connecticut, and Doobie. And those that we can't get to in the fall, we'll do in the spring. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you, sir. New business this evening. Item number 7304, discussion with action to approve the special event permit application for the Special Olympics to hold their annual lobster dip on Friday, January 1st, 2021, from 9 a.m. to when the dip takes place at noon, cleanup by 1 p.m. Parking to be allowed on one side of West Grand Avenue, 2 police officers required. Insurance listing the town of Old Orchard Beach is additionally insured to be provided 1 month prior to the event. Applicant must comply with all applicable restrictions that are in place as a result of emergency declaration by either the town of Old Orchard Beach or a state of Maine at the time of the event. Plan for compliance will be submitted to the fire chief and police chief for review and approval.
So moved. Second.
Motion has been made in second. If there's no further discussion, and none opposed, motion will carry 4-0. Item number 7305, discussion with action to approve the special event permit application for Competitor Maine to hold the annual Chris Cash 5K road race on Saturday, June 26th, 2021. Set up from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m., race from 8:30 to 10 a.m., take down 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., insurance listing the town of Old Orchard Beach as additionally insured to be received by the town clerk's office at least 1 month prior to the event.
So moved. Second.
Thank you, gentlemen. Motion has been made in second. If there's no further discussion, and none opposed, motion will carry 4-0. Item number 7306, discussion with action to appoint Thomas Lacasse as associate member to the Zoning Board of Appeals, term to expire 12/31/21.
So moved. Second.
Motion has been made in second. There's no further discussion, and none opposed, motion will carry 4-0. Item number 7307, discussion with action to approve repairs to the HVAC system in the amount of $49,000 from account number 20115-50450, Town Hall Building and Repairs.
Through the chair.
Mr. Mead.
So in this summer, the town hall we were struck by lightning, and as a result, it did a number on our HVAC system, and along with a number on a number of other systems. We did submit a claim to our insurance company. It has been accepted. We have not received the funds yet, but we would be paying for this using those insurance reimbursements.
Excellent, thank you for that. Is there a motion, Council?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made and second. There's no further discussion? And none opposed? Motion will carry 4-0. Item number 7308, discussion with action. To approve a contract zone agreement between the Xanton Company and the Town of Old Orchard Beach, map 205, block 1, lot 41, in the General Business 1, Residential 1, and Historic Overlay Districts, pursuant to 30A MRSA, Section 4352, subsection 8, and Chapter 78, Article 9 of the Old Orchard Beach zoning ordinance, and to amend the most recently adopted Town of Old Orchard Beach zoning, a general zoning map, to adopt a contract zone 2 district on the property identified as map 205, block 1, lot 41.
So moved.
Second?
Motion has been made and second. If there's no further discussion, and none opposed, motion will carry 4-0. Item number 7309, discussion with action, to designate the Municipal Affordable Housing Tax Increment Financing District to be known as Milliken Heights Affordable Housing District, and to adopt a development program for such district related to the property located in the area identified on Town of Old Orchard Beach tax maps as map 205, block 1, lot 41.
So moved.
Second?
And just for discussion and general information to the members of the public, this is something that we have met in executive session several times as a council with the Xanton Group, the town attorney. We've had public workshops, public hearings on this as well, and through the due diligence of the council and the collaborative effort of all those involved, town manager, the folks from the Xanton Group, we've come up with the best option of financing for the town, reducing it from a 30-year originally request down to a 15-year request. So we thank all those involved for that. It's something well done on everybody's part, and we're looking forward to the beginning of construction. There's no further comment? And none opposed? That motion will carry 4-0. Item number 7310, discussion with action, to accept the grant funds in the amount of $510,000 from the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, from the State Department of Economic and Community Development to fund architectural and engineering services on the Portland Avenue Affordable Housing Project.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Council. Motion has been made in second. There's no further discussion. And none opposed. Motion will carry 4-0. Item number 7311, discussion with action, to accept the bid from Anderson Insulation, the installation work at the Recreation Community Building at the ballpark, and to authorize the town manager to enter into a contract in the amount not to exceed $15,935 from account number 51002-50904, CIP Ballpark Comprehensive Structural Plan with a balance of $16,681.68.
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and second.
Through the chair?
Mr. Mead.
Yeah, I would like to just comment a little bit on this, and Jason Weber's here as well, who can address the request. What we're proposing here is to replace the furnace, install heat pumps, and add insulation to the building at the ballpark. And the reason for this is to convert the space to year-round use by the Recreation Department. And what that's going to do is enable the building to be used for recreation programming for Old Orchard Beach residents, the largest number of which will be children and residents in our 55-plus programs. And this is going to significantly increase the use of this building by Old Orchard Beach residents. I think it's going to take it to a whole new level from what it was originally intended for in terms of the ballpark itself, and move beyond its past primary use for baseball games and practices, which are great, but which mostly serve non-residents, and make it a space where it has multiple uses that include a lot of our town residents. It's also going to be used for recreation administration and program staff. So the total cost is, as you know, is $15,000 here, but it's almost $16,000 here, and then $64,000 for the plumbing and heating work to be done. The sources for the funding, because it wasn't originally budgeted, but this is an opportunity for us to that we really don't want to overlook, would be the Recreation Reserve account. The bulk of the money, the $37,000, would be from those revenues, which are made up of revenues that are generated by recreation programming. And then $23,000 from ballpark CIP funds being repurposed to this particular use. And then the contingency account of the town council, $20,000 for that. And as you all know, I think the Recreation Department has been working really hard this summer and fall to make improvements to the building so that it's a functional resource, and this is really the next important step for that vision.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Mead. Bless you. Okay. If there's no further discussion? Good evening, sir.
Hi, Guy Fontaine. I think you all know me. I just want to go along, discuss this a little bit with the council, you know, because the council in June was so concerned about spending any money at the ballpark to now decide to try to convert this building over to a year-round building when in fact we don't know whether or not the plumbing under the ground is deep enough to not freeze. 2 years ago it did freeze completely over under the stadium, the street main, and that cost the town almost $4,000 to dig up and fix that broken pipe. The pit where the water comes in, which is over by the skateboard, also years ago used to be heated. That no longer is heated, so that also is in jeopardy of freezing, which means town would have to get into a contract and rebuild that pit to make that weather and year-round proof. Right now it floods constantly, and that's why, as it is right now, the town and the city of the water company doesn't even know how much water the ballpark uses. We haven't been correctly billed for water usage at the ballpark for the last 3 years because the water company cannot get a reading, and every time they put a meter in there, the pit floods and the meter gets destroyed. So this year, actually, last April, when I tried to get the water turned on, the water company came back and said, we're not going to turn on the water anymore until you rebuild that pit. Well, thankfully, we were able to talk to them a little bit and said that, you know, you kind of dropped that ball on us. It's April, it's the last minute. So the head of the water company made the agreement that they would turn it on in April, but only under the stipulation that by September of this year, that pit would be rebuilt or somehow kept from flooding so that they could put a water meter in there and they could start accurately finding out how much water the ballpark. But again, that usually gets drained because that is not a year-round, that was not ever meant for year-round use. The building itself was never meant for year-round use. The main water lines in that building right now go over the roof. You could make an attempt to insulate that, but there's 2-inch lines, and that's why every year we blow down. We were blowing all the way from E. Cummins Boulevard to the ballpark. It was only up until 2 years ago when the police department built a dog kennel and they needed year-round water in a dog kennel that we remodified the pit, which is over by the skateboard, and would blow the water down from the pit back to the ballpark to leave water on up to coming to that pit so that the police department could have water year-round. So not only are you looking at almost $100,000 between heating costs and to install a heating system and insulation, you also now will have to think about the cost, and I don't know where that money is funded. It's not in any budget to heat that building for the entire winter. So that is another several $1,000s that will have to be come up with to actually heat that building. I mean, right now you only have I think a few people using offices in there, which were in the Loranger School at no cost to the town of Old Orchard. That's why that building was shut down every year. So to move a few people over to that building, take a chance that the pipes aren't gonna freeze under the ground, because we don't know that, I think is not necessarily the smartest move. And then the last thing that I have contention with is the money that was allocated in CIP was for structural repairs of that stadium. That money was earmarked to be taking that money, and as we have already, I guess, to understand, to put new linoleum floors in, and to take the rest of it and totally rape the CIP that was there for our structure, and then to use it for internal to the building is wrong. That money shouldn't be repurposed. That structure needs that repair. That cement needs sealing. If we don't seal that concrete soon, we're going to start losing it, and that's what that money was there for. So you'll be totally taking away money that was purposed strictly to rebuild that structure and putting it into a building for rooms that we've normally been using in Loranger School for free. And I don't know where the money will come from that structure, but you can't ignore that structure forever. And also to convert all those rooms over, when in fact, you know, we have the Frontier League, which is ready to bring a full-time, permanent, professional baseball team to the ballpark. I think the people of Old Orchard Beach voted that they wanted to maintain that ballpark as a ballpark stadium. So you'd be totally taking away what the people had wanted to do here. And I would at least think that you would, before you would do that, you would let it go to the public and ask their opinion on what you should be doing. We actually, the town, put a ballpark commission in place just for those reasons. But as you know, and as you are fully aware, you guys totally blindsided the ballpark commission last June without ever asking their opinion on what to do. And now the ballpark commission is even being looked at. And by statute, we have a ballpark commission, which should be talked to, which should be asked what their opinion is on where we should be going with this ballpark. Thanks.
Thank you.
Through the chair. Guy, real quick. You're talking about that pit. That's a pit that you knew that needed to be repaired? Mm-hmm. Did you ever get a price on repairing that?
No. When I asked the town manager for money to repair that pit, he says it was not in the budget and it would have to be brought up at a later date. I did not, no, I've never, because there were several things. The water company wanted to do, they wanted us to raise that meter up to the surface, of course, which would be even worse for freezing, so that they could open. Right now, there's a old manhole cover that was put over that pit. That was put in by Public Works, and every year when we turn the water on or off, the water company refuses to do it unless Public Works meets us down there, or I would go down there with a shovel to get the manhole cover off, because he said it was in violation of their safety requirement to lift something that heavy. Now the water meter is down about 7 feet from the top of that pit.
So it's down deep enough not to freeze?
I don't know that. There's nothing to stop it freezing. There is no insulation. It's just a concrete surface around it, which is up out of the air. It's not like it's buried. It's up above ground. It's concrete. So what the water company wants, they want us to hire a plumber, put elbows, come up and bring the water meter right under the cover, so that it will guarantee that it will not flood, will not get underwater, and it'll be much easier for them to read. Even though they normally would read it from a button, they haven't been able to do that, obviously, because the meters have been destroyed as fast as they put them in.
How are they getting destroyed?
It was the pit floods all the way up to in the spring. It's flooded right to the top of the ground level, because the water tends to drain from the police department across the road through a culvert. And that's where this pit is, at the same place. So the water level, when I would take the cover off in the spring and have to pump it down, the water would be almost at ground level. So it would be about 7 feet deep of water. And it would usually take several hours with a big pump for me to get it pumped down. A few times Public Works came down with that machine they use for manholes, and they sucked it out that way. But the water does fill all the way to the surface. So that pit would have to be constantly pumped and maintained, as well as heated.
Or just redug with stone on the bottom of the drain off the bottom of it into a low spot, and the water would never build up.
What's that?
If they turn around and they take that pit, you put a new one in, you put stone in the bottom of it, with a drain pipe in the bottom, and it goes to a low area, it'll never hold water again.
Well, the problem is, I don't know there is any low area, because like I said, that's the way the slope of the land is, the police department in that area is much higher, and it slows down
The
and it
pit's
comes
located
through a
over by,
culvert
the pit's located over by the skateboard park, correct?
just beyond the skateboard park. Like, there's a ditch, actually, a drainage ditch, and it's between a drainage ditch and the skateboard park.
Right. I believe that the back side of that skateboard park is a lot lower than where the pit is. So it would
I'm not
just-
saying that an engineer...
No, I'm just trying to figure it out.
An engineer or somebody could come up with the best possible solution. Right now, what the water company wants is that meter to be brought to the surface so they could just take it out in the fall and replace it back. Or it would be kept high and dry and it would not go bad, because the water normally, customarily, is always turned off before that meter. I mean, it was standard to turn off the water at the ballpark November 1st, because anytime after that, we were risking freezing, in which we had. And then turn it back on April 1st. So that's why it is more to just insulating that building than it makes it sound, and heating it. You're gonna have to do the pit, you're gonna have to heat the building, and again, we're not sure the pipes, the water comes in under the stadium right now. That's where it comes up. There used to be a valve down there way back 20 years ago. They would turn the water off there and blow back. That valve stopped working. So that's where the freeze was 2 years ago, that whole assembly underground, where because water, I think the main valve from the street leaked by. Somehow water got in that pipe, even though I had blown it back, all the way back. It froze, and I can show you some pictures. It was pretty nasty. We ended up having to bring in a large construction firm to do that work, and I think the cost was somewhere around $4,000 to replace that broken pipe under the stadium so we could get our water back for January. So there's a lot more to think about. And at these uncertain times with COVID-19, where I thought we were trying to tighten our belts, this doesn't seem like a good time to be spending all this money.
I'd just like to clarify a couple of comments that were stated. As far as the capital improvement money, you know how I felt about the capital improvement money. It was not specifically earmarked for the stadium itself. It was earmarked for anything to do with the ballpark. It was ballpark CIP. He didn't say ballpark stadium, it said ballpark CIP. So I don't want to debate that, but I'm not going to be accused of something that isn't true.
No,
Okay,
actually, it isn't true. We had a structural design come in.
Ballpark
they
CIP
came
guy,
back with
ballpark CIP is ballpark CIP. I don't want to debate it. I can't debate it right now. I'm just saying ballpark CIP is the ballpark CIP, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's the stadium, whatever the CIP need was, should have been and was earmarked for the stadium itself, because we knew what we were facing with that. But ballpark CIP did not specifically
The
say the stadium.
ballpark commission and myself applied for that CIP money with the structural, and I gave the council a copy, actually they all saw it, from the company that came and did our structural repairs, and that's what we asked for, CIP, to start those structural repairs on the stadium concrete so we didn't lose it. Exactly what we asked for.
Through the chair, without continuing the argument, I believe it was actually presented to us through one of the alternate budgets, to use part of that CIP to fund the ballpark without having to increase taxes. So you yourself, you agreed to it. So when you agreed to it then, it wasn't an issue. It can't be an issue now. If it was only supposed to be used in your mind for the ballpark to cover those stadiums, or the concrete, you agreed to use it to actually fund the ballpark, not even use it for CIP. So you can't have it both ways here.
I don't want to bring up bad blood, basically. There's no need to do that. We can sit here and point fingers and make accusations all night. So I certainly don't want to do that. But things were stated that maybe misinterpreted or misunderstood. So I just want to clarify that, because.
So through the chair, I guess I have a little bit of concern about that meter. From my past experience dealing with stuff like that, it's not an extremely expensive fix. You don't need an engineer to figure it out. You find the low point and you do as I said. You put a new. If the tile that it's setting in the manhole is not big enough or deep enough, you put another one in and you put stone on the bottom with a pipe that drains it, and you bring it to the low point. The Public Works could do that, and they could probably do that in all of about 2 days. So that is a concern, but not a concern where I'm against the project. What I like about the project is that it would open up more of a use, as the town manager said, and I'm assuming Jason's getting ready to tell us, more use by the community. If the ballpark is gonna be there and having it just for baseball, for teams that come in, which is great. I love the baseball up there. I've supported it. I've personally put in over $15,000 of in-kind services, and still to this day, get up to $4,000 a year donated between trash and toilet stuff. So I support the ballpark. It has nothing to do with not supporting it. What I want to see more is having more community events, community use, rather than just baseball going on up there. I think that it benefits the community, and I think that by winterizing the building and allowing the rec department to work out of there, it also allows that to be open for meetings for other organizations in town. I've already heard from some that have already used it. There's a lot more stuff that can go on up there if that's a year-round facility. So I am in favor of it, but I do have the concerns the guy does as far as the water freezing and everything else. So we do need to address that. So I want to add that in there.
And one last clarification. So the town voted years ago to retain the ballpark, not specifically use it for
Correct.
ball games. And it was not until the volunteer group revitalized that ballpark that it came back to life. It sat idle for a great number of years, became overgrown, disrepair, state of disrepair. So the town voted to retain it, and that's the only town vote that took place. So I want to clarify that. We didn't retain it or vote to maintain it and use it as a ballpark per se. And I do share the same concerns you do, Guy, and I thank you for bringing them forward tonight, because we wouldn't have known that if you hadn't done that, so we thank you for that as well. But, and I'm enough said on that, I guess. I thank you for being here, Guy, and thank you for bringing that to our attention. So if there's no further comment.
Jason.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jason, yeah, come on up, yep.
A couple. Jason Weber, Recreation Director. A couple things. We are addressing some of the outside water issues, but luckily we have a great partnership with the Rotary Club. They already came and built an insulated box that goes around all the pipes underneath the stadium, and they also insulated the, there's already, where the water comes in, there is a manhole underneath the stadium. We bought a new cover for that, and they insulated inside that too. So we are working. It wasn't part of this budget, so this agenda item, so I didn't know I was going to bring all that stuff up. But we are looking at that, and I will look in tomorrow with the hole up by the skate park.
Perfect. Good.
And to kind of address, I appreciate you saying that about the town vote, because I've spoken at a couple meetings, and we've had actually 2 votes since I've been here about the ballpark and not selling it and utilizing it. And I feel a lot of that is based off memories of people's first concert, people's first baseball game. And what we are striving to do as a rec department is to create new memories for residents of Old Orchard Beach. So they want to go up and utilize the ballpark. We have 150 residents that use the ballpark every Saturday for our fall sports, from 9 to noon, between soccer, flag football. We have the 50+ club. We have the Red Hatters utilizing our space. One of the biggest spots that we is our child care program. And right now we are running our essential camp out of our old offices at the school. With COVID, it creates space as an issue, and being able to spread out. I would love the Frontier League to come, and we are not making the ballpark. I feel like what we're doing is making the ballpark a place where people want to come, teams want to come in. The locker rooms will stay the same, the offices will stay the same. We'll just have different things that we can put in there. But if 2 teams want to come, or a team wants to come, we can all of a sudden make that into a place where we can have a year-round baseball team. So we're not taking away that avenue, because I'd love to see the Frontier League come and play at the ballpark. But I think the residents should also have a piece of that property too, and utilize it to their advantage.
Excellent. Thank you, Jason. Go ahead.
I guess I have another concern if we were using it for the general public right now, because that building has no smoke detectors, no fire detection, and no fire suppression. In other words, no sprinkler systems, no ADA required bathrooms. So to allow and to do events in there or meetings without smoke detectors, fire suppression, or any of those safety things, I think we would put the town in some serious violations of the law.
Okay, thanks. If there's no further discussion on this agenda item, the motion has been made in second. If there's none opposed, motion will carry 4-0. Item number 7312, discussion with action, to accept the bid from Jim Godbout Plumbing and Heating, Inc. for furnace replacement and upgrades to the heating system at the Recreation Community Building at the ballpark, and to authorize the town manager to enter into a contract in the amount not to exceed $63,477.60, to be funded from the following accounts: $6,241.70 from account number 51002-50911, CIP ballpark improvements and repairs, with a balance of $6,241.70, and $20,000 from account number 20118-50350, contingency expense, with a balance of $150,000, and $37,235.90 from account number 30299-50450, Recreation Programs Building Repairs account, with a balance of $76,944.59.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, counsel. Motion has been made in second. If there's no further discussion, and none opposed, that motion will carry 4-0. Item number 7313, discussion with action, to purchase a Dell EchoStar server virtualization system in the amount of $109,935.45 from EchoStar Technologies, funded by lease purchase agreement in the amount of $99,999 through Androscoggin Bank at 2.07%, with 5 annual installments in the amount of $20,827.62, and a deposit in the amount of $9,936.45 from account number 20197-50330, debt service lease purchase account, with a balance of $206,882.34. Mr. Mead.
Yeah, through the chair, this replacement of the existing computer system server was approved as part of the FY21 budget by council. It includes replacing existing hardware and acquisition of new Windows servers licenses, so that we'll continue to have ongoing support and updates for the system.
Excellent, thank you for that. Is there a motion, council?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, council. Motion has been made in second. If there's no further discussion, and none opposed, motion will carry 4-0. Item number 7314, discussion with action, to approve an agreement with Palace Playland regarding the seasonal closure of Staple Street Extension and the provision of public parking spaces designated for vehicles with authorized handicap permits in a form substantially similar to the draft agreement presented to the council on this date, and authorize the town manager to negotiate the final terms and enter into the agreement on behalf of the town council. And if I may, just to touch on some of the highlights of the results of our workshop, and some of the bullets that we've that come before us through these discussions, be to close Staple Street to vehicles seasonally between April and September. Pedestrian access will be allowed between West Grand Avenue and the beach. Allow Palace Playland to conduct food service and amusement games on Staple Street using kiosks or other similar portable temporary structures. To maintain a public safety corridor approved by the town the length of the street. Utilize a vinyl-coated chain link gate to control access at West Grand Avenue. 6 public parking spaces designated for handicap permitted vehicles will be located on Palace Playland property on West Grand Avenue and will be managed by the town. Both the town and Palace Playland will maintain liability insurance and be identified as additional insured parties. And the agreement is for 3 years and may be renewed by mutual consent. Is there a motion, council?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, council. Motion has been made in second. Comments?
Discussion?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, come on up. Please, sure. That's why we're here.
George Porvellis, 10 West Grand and 30 Central Ave. First of all, I mean, compliments to whoever put together the agreement. The goals are very clear in terms of, getting pedestrians safely down Staple Street, either going to the beach or to Palace Playland. That's very clear. The other idea of, the idea of compromise, the fact that there's liability from both ends, I was looking at. So it was good to hear you say that. And there's a couple other things as well that just makes sense. I have a couple of concerns I want to share, and before, take them for what they're worth, but first of all, the idea that if you look at the goals are about public safety. And I would hope that the agreement is very clear that was established in like a public corridor to the beach for the fire trucks or ambulances or police cars. I hope that's pretty clear, and that's the priority. And then the pedestrians, and then place the kiosks around that, and not putting the kiosks first, and then everything else goes in, if there's room. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think that's the most important thing, and maybe Chief Lamontang is the one who really determines that, I don't know. But I would hope that the priorities are established in that way, since that's the goal of the agreement. And the second thing is in terms of the fencing. It seems like a minor detail, but I think that's really important in terms of, I know they did this once before, years ago, and it was who's got the key when the fire department needs to get down. And, I don't know who's paying for it. I assume the town. I think you said the town, and is the town paying?
I think we're going to split the cost, I believe.
In some ways, why do we need a fence there? Why? You don't need a fence at the square. When you block off vehicles, you can have a decorative blockade there. The goal here is to block vehicles, not to block people from seeing the beach, from seeing Palace Playland, or from being able to get to the beach at the Palace Playland. It's only about vehicles. And how much easier would it be if you just had a couple of decorative things in the street, that if the police cars need to get there, I can even hop from across the street and move it for them. But I don't have a key if there's a fence there. And I just think sometimes we try and solve a problem and create another one. So anyway, thank you guys for your effort. Thank you, Larry, if you negotiate. There's some things there, but I do think those issues need to be looked at and need to be clearly stated in the agreement before it's signed, because I don't know if it is. Okay?
Very good.
Thank you very much.
And you understand that this is not a draft agreement. These are just bullets that came from our public workshops that I wanted to reiterate.
Okay.
So
is there a draft agreement that's...
As of yet, no.
Okay.
So
but
with these all be included, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Again, I asked for public input, but will we be able to see the agreement before it's signed by who? Is Larry just a...
We're authorizing him to enter into the agreement base right now, so he does not have to come back to us to do that. So
Okay.
we've already, by action in the way this is written, we're going to authorize him the authority to do that.
Okay.
So it won't come back to us.
Okay. Is it
Can we make
possible-
changes to it? Yes, we can.
You can?
Yes.
Okay. Can you ask for more specificity?
If need be, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
I too wanted to just quickly say, after the meetings we've been to, you guys are on spot with the vehicular traffic and a lot of other things you're doing, and I thank you. And if you do go to a fence, it would be nice if it were a fence where you can still see the ocean from West Grand Avenue. But I thank you, Larry, and all the council, because you took everything and you combined it together and really addressed the issue of public safety. And for that, I thank you.
Perfect. Thank you as well, Paula. Appreciate it. Appreciate you both being here tonight as well. Motion has been made and second.
I have
Go ahead, Mike.
a little discussion.
Yeah, go ahead.
When we last talked about this, I had some concern about the kiosks. And I was hoping that Fred would be here tonight, I guess, because we left that meeting and that was going to be discussed amongst department heads. Is there 10, is there 20, is there 50? I don't know how to determine that based on what's said here, okay? So I had made a little drawing last time of the sidewalk staying open. And we need a travel lane
Right?
for the maintenance department,
Yep.
which will have deliveries made, I'm sure, during the day and whatnot, so what's the discussion on kiosks at this point in time?
Well, I think you
guess
hit
I'm
it.
not clear on, I want to be careful that this don't
Yep, you hit it
turn
right on the
into
head, Mike.
a mess. Oh, you're gonna say something about this?
No, you hit it, no, you think you hit it right on the head, which
Okay.
is that there will be the public safety corridor, which is gonna be a significant straight shot to get down to one end of the street to the other. There was and I think Mr. Porvalis was right on, which is the priorities are that, the pedestrian access to maintain a clear, not zigzaggy, this is where you go if you want to walk to the beach. And then, so what's left over from there would be, I think, with the kiosks would be, they're not going to be jamming it up. They're going to be similar to what they do now, which is pretty spread out. They have pretty wide corridors at the Palace Playland, so I think it'd be similar to that. And if we find it's a problem, there's built into we can certainly talk about it with them, and built into this agreement is either side can withdraw after any of these years, in the first year, the second year, the third year, whatever it would be.
No. I would just ask that there be language in there that the council could be involved. Because this is, to me, fairly wide open at this point, so that's my comment.
Understood.
Okay, I don't want to be wrestling. I assume the kiosks are gonna go where the parking spots are now. The sidewalk's gonna stay the sidewalk, the street's gonna stay the street. The only place it leaves
That we'll see.
is basically where the parking spots are now.
Yeah.
That's sort of what I visualize.
Could very well be.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so, but does that mean that they're gonna be lined up from one end of the street to the other?
I don't think so.
What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
So, I just share that concern, that's all. Okay.
Very good. If there's no further discussion?
And I just make one more comment. George makes a good comment about the gate. Maybe it doesn't need to be a steel gate.
Be a chain.
Maybe you could put 2
idea
ounces
is,
of granite with a chain or something.
the idea is to have something that's significant that gives people the notice that this is not a street. But it would be a vinyl coated chain link fence, so you're going to be able to see through it. And the black vinyl coated creates that sense of it's not a barrier. You actually do kind of look through it.
Yeah, but maybe it could be 2 granite columns that could be moved easily with a chain or something.
Could be. My concern about moving things easily is that they get moved easily.
Well, I don't think they'd move easily. 2 pillars that, I don't know, I'm just throwing that out there as, it's an afterthought, but
right.
It might be more aesthetic, I guess. I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you as well. And if there's no further discussion?
Do we
And
have a
none
motion?
opposed? I have a motion and a second, yep. Is none opposed?
No.
Motion carried 4-0. Which brings us to adjournment this evening, folks. Is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion has been made second. Did you get it? Did you get it?
I could discuss some of this stuff with you guys if you'd answer my phone.
If there's no further discussion and none opposed to the adjournment, we thank you for attending. We thank you for viewing. Have a good night.
Good night.